this is one of the streets, and this is what I'm faced with. And you can imagine just waking up every day having to, I have to take my ginseng and, just really pray every day. Do you see anybody out here making any moves? Do you see how literally we can take this whole street and turn it into home ownership?
Welcome to the Property Power Play. My name is Kito J Johnson, and it is right here that we empower you with the tools necessary to play the game of real estate and win. And I'm very, very excited today to welcome my guest, Adrian Wells. Adrian, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's an honor, thanks.
I have such respect for you and for what you do. You're so accomplished in so many different areas, and I'll just say, it was difficult for me to choose, like, what do we want to talk about? I got Adrian coming, so that's a win in itself, right? But what am I going to talk to Adrian about, because you're so accomplished? So I've chosen to talk about community and social impact investing, and I've chosen to talk about that because you're so passionate about a project that you're working on, and we'll get to that in a moment. But let's start from your perspective. Who is Adrian Wells?
Well, I'm Adrian Wells, and I've been in real estate for about 36 years now. I started when I was in college, and actually it was a way that my aunt, who encouraged me to get in real estate, to pay my way through college. I've also been a news reporter, and I have a passion for real estate. Some people can be a brain surgeon, some people can be a teacher. My lane is real estate, and I absolutely love it. So I live here in Atlanta. I also have moved over the past 2.5 years, not quite 3 years yet, and I'm from Gary, Indiana, and that's the home of Michael Jackson. Everybody knows Gary. And when my husband died just shy of 3 years ago, I was broken. But my broken may be different from someone else's. My broken is that it hurts really bad, but I have no choice. I have to get back up, right? And so what I did is I just started saying, wow, where can I get some healing, and where can I channel this sadness to make someone else happy, to change, someone else's lives, therefore changing the narrative in their lives. So I decided I would go back home, and I committed. I said, okay, I literally lost everything through COVID. I mean, most of us have, but I lost everything. My husband, I lost every property I had. A lot of our investors that we just start losing. But what I did is that I decided what I did have. I took some of the revenue that I had here, working with celebrities, and I took it and I rolled the dice, Kito. I took what I had and I went to Gary and I said, you know what? I'm sad, I'm hurting, but I've lived a great life. Let me help other people. So I did that, and I've been there, changing the narrative there, and through home ownership, and that's me.
Yeah, so in a moment I want to get to that change in the narrative piece, but talk about your background. You mentioned it a little with the celebrities and that type of thing here in Atlanta.
Sure, so being a news reporter, I was able, in having a really strong command in real estate, I was able to merge those two worlds together. So in Atlanta, everything is Hollywood of the South here. So I didn't know anyone. When I came to Atlanta years and years ago, I knew no one. But what I did know is real estate, and I know when you have an asset, and coming here and seeing how African Americans love to live well, I've never been anywhere before where people are just on it. I mean, they love to live well, so I had the asset, and I remember I was at the Four Seasons, and I was representing this condo, and I met some people in television and film, and I said, hey, listen, have you guys had an event? Let's have an event. That's my second passion, and let's honor people who are doing great things in Atlanta in television and film. And I did, and that was it. And from there, I landed Bob, and I just was been going on, and I represent these celebrities, and then I work my way up to where I just started working above the line. So those are like your main talents of all the movies or all the reality shows or, the feature films and television shows.
Got it. I love it. So changing the narrative, right? We're in community and social impact investing, Gary, Indiana. What does changing the narrative mean?
Changing the narrative, in my opinion, means you change the mindset, right? We change the way we think, then we can change the way we live. then we can grow, right? When you can change your mindset, it opens up a world of possibilities of what you didn't even think you can achieve or the way you can live. And so that's what I think of it. I don't use any other word. It's just changing that narrative, right? So that's my definition of it.
So when we talk about Gary, right, certain areas have certain reps, right? And I've heard that Gary is one of the most underserved cities in the whole United States, right? Even though Michael Jackson is from there, and thank you for the tour that you gave me. But how has that been for you? Like to transition from celebrities and athletes and those types of clients here in Atlanta and the luxury that we experience here in Atlanta to go back to a Gary, Indiana. How has that been, and how have you married those worlds?
Okay, so that was very, very difficult. So let's just know that I still work with my celebrity client base, right? I just can't take on as many clients because I do spend time working on the passion project in Gary. How has it been? It was extremely difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is probably one of the most challenging tasks that I've ever had to accomplish and work on. But it's so rewarding. Just think, we're so used to dressing nice, eating at nice places, being in this beautiful place that we're in right now, right? People in smaller cities, whether it's Gary or Mississippi or wherever, they don't have those resources. So I knew that I had a strong will and a strong command to bring the resources that I've learned from all those celebrities and athletes and just living this life here. And the challenge was very, very difficult because it was their mindset. And I didn't understand it. Where I remember when I met you, we were just on the same level and we were thinkers. And you know how, I don't know if you've ever heard this saying that small minds talk about people, great minds talk about ideas. I was looking for people with great minds to talk about ideas. Now, I'm not saying that everyone there didn't do that, but I noticed that it was more talking about people than ideas and being thought leaders. So that's been my challenge. It has truly been a challenge.
Yeah. For the sake of those watching, what is it that you're doing in Gary?
Sure. So I decided to go to Gary because, as you said, it's been deemed as one of the most miserable places or worst places in the world, but I see it differently. My lens see things differently because I grew up there. So I decided to go there. And when I decided to go there, I said, I'm going to start with their mindset. Gary suffers from a broken heart. So it's like a relationship. You love it, you believe it, you pour into it, right? And then someone leaves and they get disappointed for whatever reason, right? And that's what they suffered for. So when I got there, I knew that A, I had to mend the heart. How was I going to mend that? You gain trust by, right? You win somebody over by trust. Then B, I knew that I saw a condition there that I wasn't used to living in. And that was my next goal. How do I change that narrative? So you go into a community, that's what I do. I figure out one community. And you know where I got that from? I never told you this. I'm gonna tell you right now. I got inspired by you when you went to West End. And I never told you that. I literally tell everybody that story. I was like, Kito had me go to West End. I didn't even know West End existed because I'm a Buckhead, Alpharetta girl, right? And when you went there and I saw your friends and you had me stand in that room and tell the friends about how we're gonna start doing short-term rentals there, in my mind, I'm like, now I can do anything. Working with celebrities, you have to put on your Wonder Woman bracelets and just make it happen, right? But I wasn't sure how I could do it. But when I saw you do it and I saw you bring your friends there and I saw that neighborhood change, just that street alone, I said, I'm going to take that same concept that I learned from Kito and I'm going to take it back home. I never told you that. I'm telling you that now. That's how I got so inspired to do that. So that's what I did. I took the same concept and I took a street, then I took the neighborhood. And what I did is that it was hard, but I got my friends over time to come there to see what I was doing. Nobody wanted to come because it's cold there, and it's not the prettiest place, but we made it pretty. And then we got neighbors involved, and then we got organizations involved. And before you know it, that whole community changed. Just maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I spoke to the police chief, and he said, crime is down in that area.
Wow.
It's down.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we clean it up because a clean city is a safe city.
Right.
So that's what I promote all the time.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. And that's certainly a testimony to who you are as a person.
Thank you.
And one of the reasons I really wanted to have this conversation is a lot of our audience are entrepreneurs, right? They're doing very well in whatever field they've chosen. And on a regular basis, people say to me, I want to go back to my city and do this, or how can I do this, or how can I get involved with real estate and make a difference in my area, right? And so it's easy for us to talk about, doing business in Atlanta, right? But what would you say to someone who has been blessed now with resources and they say to themselves, how can I go back and make a difference? Or how can I reach back and help someone perhaps from my own hometown, just like you did? What would you say to those individuals?
I would say to those individuals first you have to go back and assess what is their challenge and how can you turn it into a change. Not what you think, but what is their challenge. The second thing is that, remember, when we come from these big cities, we have big ideas. We have a lot of experiences, right? A lot of resources. But when you go there, you have to meet people where they are and take them where you want them to go. Right? And when you meet them where they are, I would say the first thing is that you get involved and you engage. So what I do is that I immediately joined the Chamber of Commerce. I joined it, I got to meet all the business people because I know I need them on my side as a support system. The second thing is that I found the local organization that serves that community that I was in. So remember, I focus on a community, one community at a time, and I'm actually in my second one right now. And when I focus on that, I get the organization and I say, well, what are you doing and what are your needs? What are your challenges, right? Not mine, not what I see from afar, but what they see within. And I join that organization, I volunteer, I get other people to volunteer. And then once you do that, now you're meeting them where they are, right? Right? So now you're on the inside with them. And while you're there, you use those as now your sphere of influence for that city. And then you take them to where you want to go. And I guarantee you it's not going to be easy, but eventually once you show them and you lead by example, then they'll eventually follow suit. I didn't get it right away. Kito, when I got there, they're like, why do you dress up so much? Why do you wear makeup every day? Why are your houses? This is too good for Gary. It's not. So then I started working on their mind. And then now, I just sell them like that. Yeah. And I'm bringing back millennials. That's the great thing, It's a wonderful thing because it's an aging population. So when you go to your own community, when you go to another community, because I've been asked to come to a couple of other smaller cities, but I got to get a couple more friends. I've been trying to talk to you guys a long time to come with me. I can't go to any other city yet without a gang of people going with me. Get involved and connect with them on their level. And the best way to do it, and the fastest way, is to join local organizations.
So when I started on this street, it looked nothing like it looks now. And I remember when a wholesaler called me and told me that they had this house available for sale. And I got some advice, called to one of my partners and some individuals who were investing that I had been leaning on for some wisdom. And it was amazing the type of information I got. Like half of them were like, absolutely not. They told me just Interstate 20 is not far from here. You can almost throw a rock. And everyone said, that's the wrong side of I-20. Like, you sure it's in the West End, but it's not on the right side of West End. Like, for you to make a purchase over there would not be a good decision. But there was something that I felt on the inside. And I like to say all the time, like, the decisions that I've always made in real estate have been gut decisions. And if it felt right in my gut, then I move forward. And the truth of the matter is, in 25 years in this business, every time I moved based on a positive gut feeling, it worked out. And that's exactly what happened on this street. I purchased the property, and by the time it was all said and done, there were 8 investors that were a part of the transformation of this street. This house was seriously dilapidated when I purchased it. These houses did not even exist. They were vacant lots. There's an individual that had just purchased this house, or it's a duplex, and he was in the process of working on the renovation there. I've got another house that I purchased that was seriously dilapidated. And one by one, we just began to transform this street. And we're able to command some tremendous values over here. When I bought that house from the wholesaler, I paid $64,000 for it. And again, at the time, my advisors, many of my advisors were like, nah, don't do it. But I paid $64,000, and now that property appraises, in fact, just went under contract for $498,000. It's just been a few years. And when we talk about community impact investing, that's exactly what has happened here. We've got partners that have come together with one goal, and that is to make a difference in the community, to change the reality of a community, as Adrian says, to change the narrative in the community. And that's what we've done over here. We came together, we brought our resources together, and house by house, one by one, now this is a desirable street, where just a few years ago it was not necessarily a desirable street to be on. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So tell me what a typical deal looks like for you.
Okay. See, he's the deal maker, y'all. I don't know if you know, but he want to know about the deals. So for example, right now, Gary has about 12,000 properties, 6,000 of which the city owns, right? 12,000, when you're driving down the street, you see nothing but blight, right? Now, that doesn't mean the entire city's like that. So a deal for me is right now, I just had 27 properties fall into my lap. Not fall into my lap, but this person knows what I'm doing there and said, hey, I bought these off the tax sale. So you can get tax sale properties for $500, literally.
That's still possible.
Oh, it's still possible. In Gary it is, right? And in some of the surrounding areas it is as well. So what she said, okay.
Now let me be clear, you can buy a house.
You buy a house.
For $500.
Yeah. Now I'm not saying the house is in good condition.
I understand, okay. I'm with you.
But you can buy a house and land, and you say that all the time, just to get the land, that asset alone is worth tons. So we buy a house for $500 on the tax sale. I don't have the time to go on the tax sale. So if you bought it for $500, here's your deal. You could sell it to me for $5,000 and it's still worth it, right? You can sell it to me for $10,000 and then I'll have to see if it's still worth it. But what I've been doing is that being able to acquire them for under 10 and being able to sell them. My highest one I've sold so far, when the average price point 2 years ago was $25,000, $30,000, is $175,000. Wow. So that's the deals that you make. And see, a lot of people don't want to do that because they don't want to withstand the challenges to be able to get the property from start to across the finish line. I can, because if you have 27 properties, just think about it. Even if you sold them for all 100,000, that's $2.7 million.
Absolutely.
In a small city, and you don't have to go anywhere, and you barely have any competition.
Absolutely. Look, I've been in your homes, right, here in Atlanta, and now also in Gary.
And thanks for coming.
It was a
really
pleasure.
That you came.
It was an absolute pleasure. I've been to parties, events that you've hosted. Adrian, everything you do is 10-star.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And to walk in your homes in Gary and see, tell me how you brought the Atlanta feel to a Gary property.
Oh, I did just that. So, and thank you for saying that. I think my new norm is excellence every day, right? So that's my new norm, right? And I brought that style because no one else was bringing that. People were used to, and this is just me in my personal opinion, we tend to go into areas where people are at a lower tier, right? And they just give them just lower tier. Yeah. Well, for me, I believe that as a people, as African Americans, we deserve the best. Look at how we live here, right? And if you see it and you know it's possible, I take the same style and I just scale it down just a little bit to fit a price point that makes sense, right? And I give it to them, and that's it. Now, I got a lot of resistance. This is too good for Gary. Why do you have furniture? I took all this furniture, all of the decor, and because I only do turnkey properties, because they don't have anything. So if I can sell you a house and you have a stove, refrigerator, washer, dryer, and furniture, that's putting you a little further ahead, right? Because what typically happens when we sell houses.
Yeah. We sell it and then we go to IKEA the day after close.
They go to IKEA, they're gonna buy all this stuff and they get back in debt. Absolutely. Well, my focus is that, hey, let's get you a running start. Let's give you a turnkey property. Well, guess what? You don't have to go in debt. Just focus on paying your mortgage every month. Absolutely. Focus on being a homeowner and raising your kids. And so that was the challenge that I had to think about and work on, and now we turned it into a change.
So when I came into the property and I'm looking at the decor and I'm thinking, this is amazing staging. But it's not staging.
No. It's turnkey.
It's turnkey. So
Yep.
everything that I saw, or that the prospective buyer sees when they walk in, when they close on that property,
They can have it. Now, not everybody wants it, but they can have it. We put it into the purchase price, and a lot of people have purchased it. Some people, it's like, no, I'll bring my own things or whatever. But when they come in, they see something different. Yes. Now you're taking them to that next level, right? You're meeting them where they are because you're in their neighborhood. But when they come in, every response is, I can't believe this is Gary. I can't believe this is XYZ. Well, believe it, because this is where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you need?
Oh, okay. I need you and everybody else to come in and not just stop at Gary. You know, let's go into these cities, because I think as a community, we can literally be a community, right? And we can encourage and we can expand and we can grow, you know, communities. So what I need is for people to be okay with change. Be okay with being uncomfortable, because I think that when you're uncomfortable, it literally propels you to get out of a situation, to dive into a situation, or to just walk away from a situation, right? And so in my case, I need people to be dive in and let's go. So with Gary, I definitely encourage everybody to come and be an investor. You know why? Because we're literally 30 minutes from Chicago. The third largest city. You know, Chicago, you can see Lake Michigan, you know, you'll have views like this and things like that. So that's what I need. But I will tell you, just recently, I've been there for, you know, south of 2 years, right? And I finally got my friends to come. So I've got 2 friends, one's there now. And so what we're doing is that we're sharing, job sharing, so to speak, where they're coming and helping me project manage, and I can come here and work, they can come back and work. So it's been amazing, because I was desperately needing help, you know, and be able to come be around masterminds and mastermind synergy and thought leaders that I'm so used to, right? And so, and being comfortable, you know, with my tribe. So yeah, I need people to come. And I think in any other city that I go to, if I take on if I accept, you know, the opportunity, I would want to, that would be my one thing, is to bring people there with me this time.
Right. And so it took 2 years for you to get people to come with you?
Yeah, it took 2 years just to get people to come in, 2 years for me to turn it around. I'm not a 10-year, I'm not gonna say it's 10 years. We can do this in 2 to 3 years if we focus and concentrate. But it did take 2 years just to even come there.
And what would you say the biggest challenge is for the investor who's in the, you know, big city Atlanta mindset, right? We have resources that we could send somewhere else or do something somewhere else. What has been the biggest challenge with that educational component?
I think the biggest challenge is what they see on social media about Gary. I think the biggest challenge is, why would I want to, you know, how am I going to get my money out if there's, you know, there's no activity or nothing that's great or grand there. But when you saw it, did you even know that we had houses on the beach?
No, and that's what I want to talk about next.
Okay, go ahead.
The fact that there is such a nice beach. Number one, there's such a nice beach in Gary. And number two, that I can hop on a train and be in Chicago, downtown Chicago that quick. I had no idea. Yep. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, so that's one of the highlights about Gary. So we get a lot of people from Chicago that's now starting to really come over, right? And they know that they can commute. They will have a high-speed train that used to take an hour on a train with all the stops. Now it takes literally 30 minutes. And that's from the beach area where I took you to go right there. So you can work, and a lot of people are working from home, so sometimes maybe they have to go in the office a couple of days a week. You can do that. The other thing is that literally in Chicago, that whole lakefront is commercial, right? Or beaches, commercial properties and things. In Gary, it's actually residential. You have a lot of properties on that lakefront area. And it's absolutely wonderful. So that's what attracts people. And as you notice, when you went there, that whole area is just great. It's homeowners, it's developers, and things like that. Now, where I took you, I'm in Gary, I'm in Miller, and it's just a little south of the beach. So that area was so underdeveloped, but I knew I'm very strategic. I knew that that would be my easiest entry point because I can convince people to come and live by the beach. 7 minutes, you walk or drive down to the beach. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it. You got to get a property there.
I'm ready. I'm ready, and I want to bring a group of people with me because the model is amazing. And again, I can't say enough. Anything that you do, I want to be a part of, and I want to encourage others to be a part of because you're solid.
Thank you so much. So this is a model that literally can be repeated from city to city, right? Or town to town. So I don't know if you know Drew, Mississippi, that's the town where Emmett Till was lynched, right? So I was on a Zoom with this mayor, and it's only like 1,900 people there. And so my friend, and I believe you know her, she encouraged me to talk to them about what I was doing in Gary. And so they're like, oh, can you come here and do this? So yeah, it literally can be repeated over and over. One of the things that they have there is they have a legacy town, right? So there's some history behind that. So you take that history and you develop it, but you go right in and you start engaging with the community. You get engaged immediately, and then you start turning it around. You know, and that's just it. But yes, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Okay, I know you are. I know you are. I appreciate the nuggets that you've given us in this conversation. Right, the goal here is for us to give some very practical tools, some steps that individuals can walk away with, that they can find themselves in the midst of and then implement in their own life, in their own situation. In closing, let me ask, is there one thing that you would say to the brand new or the aspiring investor? What would you say to that individual that is asking themselves, how can I get involved in real estate in general, or even on something on the level?
Sure. I think for a new investor, a novice investor, I think that they really have to partner up with someone who has a great skill set and has the patience to work with them. Because if you go in this by yourself, you have to know that real estate, you can win and you can lose, right? And a lot of people don't like to lose. I also would say don't take your last savings and invest this, because if it doesn't work out, then you won't have anything. So partner with someone like yourself or like other people, you know, and then that way they can take you down the path and they can help you eliminate all of the mistakes and all of the pitfalls with it, especially when it comes to real estate, with spending money and it doesn't work out, or spending extra money and things like that. If you want to go to your hometown, the one thing I can say, or any town or anywhere, is that you've got to get engaged with the community, and organizations are the best way to do it.
One of the things that I've learned, and I'll say this in my closing, one of the things that I've learned, to find success and to achieve levels of success, you have to be passionate about what you're doing, right? It's one thing to choose a career or a job for the money that comes on the other side of it, but if you can choose something based on your passion, I believe that the finances will come. And I thank you so much for the passion that you have for what you're doing in Gary and just in real estate in general, and for bringing that passion right here to this conversation.
Well, thanks for just being that fire that ignited me to be able to take that concept and use it in a smaller city like Gary. And you're right, you're not gonna get a lot of money. You have to be passionate about it, because the money comes later.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So you have been watching the Property Power Play with your host, Kito J Johnson. I'm delighted that you've been here. It is here where we empower you with the tools necessary to play the game of real estate and win. We'll see you in the next episode.
The Convo, the two-time 2023 Telly Award-winning network, and your home for conversations around Black wealth, available on all platforms.